coaching is a little bit like somebody feeding you answers. You don't understand them till you actually sit in the exam and try to do the paper.
Big thing of the day, we have the one and only legendary Vishy Anand with us. Hello. Hi Vishy, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Very
Hi
good.
everyone.
Very good. Thank you so much for this. In fact, a few minutes ago, I got a message from one of the participants who says it's my long last wish is to have an hour interaction with chess legend Sri Vishwanathan Anand. So, everyone is very excited today to talk with you, and they have all sent in their questions.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, let's begin. Soundarya, you are on the same screen as Anand.
Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you? Very happy to meet you once I met you in Mumbai.
Okay.
My question to you is, how do you get over a bad form when you feel like for a prolonged period of time you are being affected by, let's say, a past loss or something? How do you speed up the process of getting over it?
Well, partially it depends how much time you have to recover. So you have a crisis during a tournament, but you can have a entire tournament as a crisis, or you can have a crisis for 3-4 months. So it's different. During tournaments, the most important thing is somehow force yourself to forget it. Whatever disappoints you, go to sleep. Maybe you accept that you're not playing very well, but still you have to show up and try to make a few good moves. And otherwise the next game will also go bad. I remember from Dortmund 2001 till about April, so July 2001 till about April 2002, I had a big crisis in form. Not that I could not play chess at all, but not one result that you were really happy with. And in that case, it was a combination of things. It was working hard and also running away from the game. So I would work, and then I would take 2 weeks off, and I don't look at the thing, because you have to balance it, because part of you is sick of chess and you don't want to do anything with chess. And when you recover the mood a little bit, you have to work, because otherwise you fall behind. And you wait. One day, even crisis finish, you have to keep trying in the meantime. Because you're doing badly, you'll be changing many things. But you have to keep trying.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you.
So my question is, sir, when you won first world championship, I think almost all people, were expecting you to win all the tournaments which you played.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you, handle this pressure? Somewhere I read that, when Sachin Tendulkar was about to get 100th century, even, hotel management people going, in streets would tell him to play well. So has been any experience like this with you?
Yes. In general, I think people forget that the difference between winning and doing very badly is actually very little. It's maybe 1 or 2 moves. It's maybe 1 or 2 decisions. It's not that much. Sometimes I feel that I'm playing really well, but the results are not coming, and it's very frustrating. Sometimes I'm playing badly, and I'm so lucky that things fall my way. I think the most important thing is never to forget that the next game you start in the same starting position as your opponent. You have no advantage. And what happened in the previous game doesn't matter. Somehow, and it has happened to me, that if you have lots of success, you will start to relax. Your sense of danger will go down, and you will be punished, and then you will come back. And so it becomes a cycle. But as long as you remind yourself, or you force yourself to have that discipline to remember that your opponent is not there as your fan, that's a good start.
ऐसे ही एक टूर्नामेंट में भी चूज है 16 वर्ल्ड डेफ वुमेन में. अभी नेक्स्ट इसने ये टूर्नामेंट खेलना है, तो उसके लिए मलिका पूछ रही है कि एंड गेम को कैसे मैं प्रिपेयर करूं, उसको कैसे स्ट्रॉन्ग करूं.
In endgames, the only point of connection we have is that I also struggled with endgames. At various points in my career, I found that I had to catch up with other people in this area. A lot of it is psychological. If you start relaxing when you reach the end game instead of understanding how difficult it is. And second, you simply study good end game players. I think the end game is a part of the game, just like others, like middle games or openings, that people have a talent for. And you will see that some people play it effortlessly and other people go on making the wrong decision. So if you have problems there, then you must take it very seriously. It's like your weak area, and then you keep practicing. But also The nice thing is when something like an endgame you play well, and you'll feel a lot of happiness because it's much harder to do something well that you're not good at than something comes easily to you. So maybe that's the challenge you can take, and then you look forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, Vaibhav wants to ask, when you become first world champion, that was motor, or when or to maintain that status title, that is voter.
I hope you will all be happier. I mean, you have told me what problems do you have when you win tournaments, how difficult is you after World Championship, and having problems in endgames. I thought you'll be happier. Okay. It's a challenge in a different way, but it was the second time was harder because before your first big achievement, like a world title or even the world junior title, motivation is so easy. You don't even have to try. Second time, somewhere deep down, you know that you already managed it once and you relax a bit more. And after that, I think you need to trick your brain or motivate yourself in different ways. It eventually comes back. I mean, even as a world champion, when I had a bad result, I was irritated to watch all my opponents smiling and laughing, and I thought they were laughing at me, and you get irritated and you come back and you think. But it's there was always a bit of a lag when you accomplish something that you've been waiting for a long time. You feel this emptiness. Funnily enough, you read this with many other sports people also. Once they got something, that they just feel empty for a long time.
So Ashwin has the question that he's 37 years old and he really wants to become an IM, and he loses his self-belief often. He really wants to do it but keeps losing it. So what would you advise him?
Well, in this case, you should ask yourself what you're doing it for. You know, we all have to keep busy. We all like to do things that we love and we want to get better at. So don't put pressure on yourself. Just try to think. If you like, try to imagine becoming international master. Try to imagine how it'll feel like when it happens. And then simply say, well, let's see if I'm good enough, without feeling this pressure that you're proving it to anyone. You're only doing it for yourself. Just focus on little things. First, I will get close to the norm. Then I will get a bit closer. Then I will get the norm. Beat this stronger opponent. I will beat two strong opponents. Break it into small bits if you find it difficult. But you should just try to enjoy yourself as much as possible.
Hello, sir. It has been really pleasure to meet you. My question is, due to pandemic, almost 1.5 years, we did not have tournaments. And as a parent, it is important to keep kids' morale high. It is tough for every sportsman, and how aspiring sports kids should deal with the time we have lost.
In my own case, there is no easy answer. I have had periods before when I couldn't focus on chess, where I was not motivated. I've had periods without tournaments. I've had periods of crisis. 1.5 years already? Yeah. Nothing prepares you for this, and I think nothing prepares a kid for this. If your life, you have fixed things. I mean, I can tell you, my son, he was waiting for his summer holidays already since March. And then look at his summer holiday. Look at what happened to us. In March, we were planning all sorts of things because in March, there was no problem at all. And then there is no choice. You have to, I mean, I don't say this as if it's easy, but there is no choice. You have to do what you can. Try something new. Try to keep yourself busy. Maybe you don't believe it inside. So you shouldn't tell yourself false things. You shouldn't tell yourself, I'm going to motivate. If you're not feeling things, you should be realistic. But then we still have to live our life. We still have to eat. We still have to get up every day and hang in there. And maybe it helps to think that if we are healthy, we're already luckier than many people.
Yeah.
If you want a slightly more positive thing, I would say it's a good moment to try. You have a lot of time at home. If there were things you didn't have time for before, then it's a good moment to try that. It's a lot of fun to think in that way. But even that gets boring after. I mean, last June I was still trying new things and all. Already I'm bored stiff, so it's tough.
Sir, I want to ask that it is generally told that if a serious chess player who is preparing for some aim like becoming IM or win some medal for his country or something, starts giving training to beginners and all, his game may get affected. How true it is, or it is just a myth? Just want to know what's your view about it.
I think probably yes. First of all, teaching is not the same as playing. For instance, I'm someone who doesn't find it easy to explain to someone why I played a certain move. So being a good player has nothing to do with being a good teacher. Whereas there are people who explain how you can find a move easily, but they're not good practical players. And the second is, it depends. If you're explaining problems that are difficult to yourself, I think you benefit, because when you try to explain something to someone, all the things you don't understand will become clear because you're trying to say it. And in the process of explaining, you will understand it better. But if you're giving classes where you're teaching mate into, you're going to get worse. In a way, you can make it fun. It can be nice to do things differently for a while. So I don't see that teaching has to have a long-term effect. Eventually, you can come back and start playing in. But I think your point is fundamentally correct, because teaching, well, you have to get better at teaching. And if you're playing chess, you have to get better at playing chess. And it's very hard to combine the two.
So, hello, sir. How do you manage time pressure when you are, say, under a very limited time? How would you deal with that? My father actually lost one of his matches because of blunder during limited time. How do you do that?
Well, for most of my life, I never faced anything like time pressure, especially not in classical games. In rapid and blitz, well, you start off with less time, and then there are difficult positions where you can't make instant decisions. And I've had problems, but in general, it's a problem I'm facing only relatively recently, especially because the whole younger generation, a lot of them are blitz specialists. I'll tell you what is the biggest problem for me is that when I have 20 seconds left, I play as if I have 2 seconds left. And that is the biggest mistake, because when you have 20 seconds left, at least once in that game, once in the remaining game, you must use 5, 6, 7 seconds once, and then twice, and then you're down to 5 seconds, and you must play with the thing. But the biggest mistake I make is when I get short of time, I start acting as if I have no time, and I start playing moves instantly because I'm keeping some reserve. But what's the point of keeping this reserve? Especially in difficult positions, if you blunder and you lose it, then the reserve is never going to come in. So like that, you can see what is the pattern of your mistakes and maybe identify that. I'll put it this way, it's better to lose on time than to lose with a blunder. So if you can think even a little bit, try to think a little bit, not just play blunder pieces everywhere and then hope that your opponent also blunders. But that, of course, my solution will also not work all the time. So,
all right.
And like everything else, you just practice. That's all. Nothing to do.
Hi, sir.
Hey, Megha.
My question is, how do I handle the pressure when I play with a player stronger than me?
Well, when you play against someone who is lower rated than you, how do you feel? Do you feel you're going to win, or do you feel things can go wrong?
I feel under pressure.
Okay, then think of that in the reverse direction.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
When you play someone stronger than you, then play confidently and aggressively, because for the other player, for you, there is no reputation at stake. The other player is stronger and probably expects to win. Well, that's your chance to enjoy yourself. Be confident. Don't make passive moves that try to be defensive. Just be confident and try to show that you are. It's harder for them then, because they are the ones who have to be worried that something unexpected will go wrong.
My question is, we definitely have ups and downs in chess, but how to handle the situations where we are stagnant? Like we are having some good tournaments, some bad tournaments, but overall the performance is not improving. So I sometimes get frustrated, sometimes I lose motivation.
Do you find you're stagnant in areas you're working on for a long time, or in new areas?
Yeah, mostly in general. And also, so one of my weaknesses is calculation, and I'm working on it and I'm still feeling stagnant.
So what you can do is, if you're working on calculation all the time and you work on calculation, then you tell yourself, I didn't succeed, I must work harder next time. Then you work harder, then you tell yourself, it didn't work, I must do more. But after a while, you stop believing that you will do it. And if you're not succeeding in improving in calculation for a long time, then for some time, don't do it. Do endgames, do something else. And then give it a break of a month and then come back and see. Sometimes you need to not only change the way you work, but when you work, because literally the negative feelings you have built up, you have to clear a little bit. Sometimes I would go 1 month without looking at chess and then come back. It's more important to have this hunger.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Himanshi.
So my question is, sir, how could you manage three things together? Achievements, chess practicing goal, and sir, education.
I think for all of us, it will not be a surprise if I say that as a school student, we're not going to spend all the time studying. When I was at school, chess was not really competing against my academics. It was competing against my free time. So till maybe the 8th standard or something, I had no real problems at school. I was getting excellent results. After that, when I started traveling for state junior, state sub junior, national events and so on, then slowly, I mean, if you start spending a lot of time outside of school, it suffers. So then I had to manage it. My parents were very supportive of this. As long as you don't do completely something ridiculous in your exams, it's okay. And that was nice. And of course, by the time I became a grandmaster or national champion, then it was seriously affecting it. But I also knew that chess meant a lot to me and I had to stop it. But in the beginning, it didn't really affect me. And you can manage. You will have to change your expectations. You'll have to decide what you're going to aim for, how much. But it's manageable. Because mostly we spend a lot of the day wasting time. And if you organize yourself a little bit more efficiently, I think you can find time. But you should do it in a way where you're not fighting yourself.
Then she took 2 years coaching of chess. Now without coaching, how can she improve chess in day? How can she practice daily?
Maybe the easiest way is just to play a lot. You can play blitz or you can play slightly longer games, but the easiest way to improve is just to play. And if you don't like simply playing, then what you can do is you can find a friend or someone and say, I want to improve in this kind of opening, or I want to improve in endgames, or I want to improve that. And then you play training games in specific positions. That way you get both. You get the feeling of playing, but at the same time, you're working at something specific. But one way or the other, I think the best way to improve is always first practice and play, and only then learning and coaching and all that. Coaching is a little bit like somebody feeding you answers. You don't understand them till you actually sit in the exam and try to do the paper. That's the explanation I have.
Good evening, sir. So my question is, you are the 5-time world chess champion. If you still want to achieve, what will be the next?
Right now, exactly right now, I'm happy to find a tournament to play in, first of all. I like to set myself small goals. So, I want to play in these 2 or 3 tournaments and I want to do well there, and very limited goals. I try not to have very long-term plans these days, or at least this was the situation 1 year ago. Then, in fact, in the last year, I got busy with other projects, and it was nice because it keeps me busy and keeps me kind of connected to chess. But as I mentioned earlier, it's not the same as playing. So it would be nice to return and play a little bit.
Venkat Krishna Karthik, who is right now in the finals, is right now not here. But we are done with.
He had sent a message that his long. So maybe in future.
He really wanted to meet, but I believe he's not been able to come here. So Vishy, this was really amazing, because I am sure that all of them will re-watch this segment and listen to your answers and think deeply about all that you have mentioned. It's amazing how in minutes you could touch upon the lives of 16 individuals here. So thank you so much for your time, and see you soon. Bye.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye everyone.
Thanks.